This is your weekend market recap for Sunday, September 11th, 2022. Hey everyone, this is my channel to help investors and traders develop a probability-based mindset to succeed. Also try and keep friends informed of what's going on in the markets and the economy, and also a little real estate content as well.
This is Dan Max at EXPI Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your weekend market recap for Saturday, September 10th, 2022. Hopefully you're having a great week. Just wanted to do a simple, easy recap right now. No lives. Just wanted to dig in deep to what we got to expect for next week. Again, if you are newer to the channel, link is in the description below for the Discord room. I advise everybody watch what is options expiration and why does it matter. We have a quad witching OPEX next week with the monster expiration on Friday the 16th. Again, if you are newer to the channel, tons of side rooms with full of information, things that are going on, trying to keep people informed of what we're up to. Again, trading is a buy yourself thing. However, there is knowledge that is worth sharing that I feel like is easy to understand, and this channel will help people who need, I'd say, just improve their edge, take it to the next level. Because again, consistency is the key. Everybody can win sometimes, but can everybody win a lot and lose a little? That is the hard part. Oil, talked about it holding down here, and this is probably in the 80s. Nobody believed this about shorting oil in June. Now it's back down. We talked about the weakest and I wouldn't say least intelligent money was buying the retest. I still think we get back into the 65 range, maybe 60. We'll see. I don't think it's going to get there in a straight line, hence where you just got to be careful. I would say you can short pops, and then at a certain point when the Fed pivots, which we'll talk about when we get there, then you probably can buy oil. Just be careful. Just remember, oil is very economically sensitive. It is just not as simple as people make it out to be. This is a Bitcoin. Not surprised it bounced a little bit. I said this all week. You broke the channel. It's bearish, but you've got to make lower lows to break and be confirming of bearishness. Now all it's doing is chopping. Now you can argue what? You really can't argue that it's bullish or bearish. I know that's not really the idea people would think about, but you got to get away from this bottom. If you bought down here, great. Stop at your entry. If you're short, you gotta be careful. You got to be careful. A sloppy, choppy market, and this is why trading in, layering out is part of the game. Just like up here, if you would have, layered in, layered out, and then when it eventually broke, you're good. Well, if you're short from up here, okay. I think there's just easier trades. That's not the answer people want to hear, ever. But that's just the reality of it. There's easier trades. I apologize if that's not what you want to hear, but if you've been trading long enough, you understand exactly what that means. It means sometimes you have to know you have to know what not to trade. The dollar, said this forever. Not surprised it got up near the range bound highs. Check out the monthly. See very quickly it's breaking out of its old channel highs. I think it still goes higher. I just think it's due to pull back. I would love to see it back test the breakout, which is in the 29 area. You take her back to the daily. What do you see? 29 area. I mean, I would actually, let me open this up just a little bit, because I think you could get, why are you being unfriendly? I think we could see the dollar get back down to like this. There's the 29 area, the 20-day. I know that's a wide range, but we're into it. That's just the reality of it. It's not, don't bring a ruler to trading. Say it all the time. Expecting exactness engineers you folks struggles. All right, TLT. So if the dollar's going lower, short term, bonds are bottoming, in my opinion. Is that bullish the market? Well, like we said last week, near term, it was. It absolutely was. Get out of here with that. Well, now what? When you look at the monthly, what do you think is going on here? Well, I think we're doing the same game where the TLT chopped before a big spike when the market dumped. You see that? Here we are now. Chop, chop. Chop, chop, chop. Oh, sorry. Started buying TLT on Friday. I haven't bought any in a while. Check it out. All right, it's holding its base. Let's see what happens. Rates lower, could be again. I tell people, thing about the bond market hates volatility. Like the market, like stock market hates when the bond market's super volatile. That's what you got to be aware of. Because again, interest rates, whatever, they're not. It's interesting to say this, but we're back at historical rates that aren't that high. But the reality is what? They're high comparatively. And that's the thing. If people start getting scared at some point, where's that money going to go? It's going to go to bonds. It's to preserve capital, always. The VIX said, watch out. If we don't hold this level, the gap can fill. There's the gap in 20s. If the gap fills, please, I think you can start looking for putties. You can figure out the game from there. I mean, I think it's not rocket science, but I think you can see very clearly that if the VIX gets back to 20-something, I think you can start buying puts. I said the same thing. Check the monthly. Chop zone before the pop zone. Remember, the VIX got up to 96 in 2008. I don't know if we'll get that high. I think we at least get to like 50s, 60s. You go back to the daily. Just set your alarms. It really, if it gets back down and fills this gap, I think you can buy puts. And now, if you are going to buy puts, and again, I'm not a financial advisor, take your own recommendations, do what you got to do. If you're going to hedge, buy date, buy time. Please don't buy next week or 3 weeks out. Give yourself time. The VIXN, or the VIVIX, well, keep in mind, VIVIX is coming back down. The volatility of the volatility. But the VIXN, volatility of the Qs, what did we say? It's probably going to backtest the breakout. Does it fill the gap? Set your alarm. Know your prices. Now, I know technically it did with that day. I don't know if this is a bad tick on that. So, either way, under 27. Let me add an alert. Squeeze her down. There you go. That's how I set alerts. Simplistic. Again, I think, and again, people are mystified. How did you know to go get bullish last week? Well, let's talk about it. Points of control, references, swing points, fibs. What did we say? I said 395 to 390 I thought would hold. It's this VAP zone. Now, I know I don't have it drawn that cleanly. I haven't updated it. I don't need to. But you now go look back at it, and it looks like that. You can see it here to the left. Volume at price. Heat-seeking missile. Remember, the market is a liquidity-driven mechanism. You're going into next week with the CPI on Tuesday. I said this on Friday. If we could get over the short-term resistance at 405, 410 plus is coming. You can see it's also the next point of control with volume. When you zoom out, you can see. You can get up here. Maybe, but more likely it's going to stop here. I still think, again, the seasonality of September will take over and it gets bearish, but you got to get through OPEX. So if you do short the market next week and you notice like, wow, it's just not tanking, keep that in mind. Options expiration. Know your levels. Just know your levels. And if you don't know why options expiration is important, again, watch that video. Most tops and bottoms happen during OPEX in the first and last 3 days of the month. Why? That's what the video is there for. The Qs, bought a lot of tech. Talked about it holding 290s. Held back over the 20-50 day. I think we could get up into the 310, 315 range. This isn't rocket science. Now, if I say we're getting up to these ranges and you want to start shorting, I don't know if that's necessarily the best idea. I would just more look to lock in gains and then slow. Remember we talked about layering in, layering out. Be slow. You don't need to be, Mr. Quick. You don't need to be quick. I promise you. Being quick, and that me personally, like talking about it, you got to be careful. I'm like, why is this 0.618? There you go. So get up here. You're not that far off. Probably the 20-day, probably the old trend line here, 311, 312. That's where you just take profits. Now jumping right back into short, look, waiting for the VIX. Okay. IWM. Talked about it holding down here in the 180 to 178 range. Got a little lower. Boink, bouncing. Now you're getting up here, probably going to get to the 190 level. What did we say? Just you shorted up here, took profits down here, look to layer back in to the shorts. I know this is not easy. We talked about how you get these pops. Study the past. I say this all the time. Everyone's like, wow, I thought bear markets are straight. No, they're not straight line moves. They're chop, chop, pop, chop, pop, chop. But they end up going lower. So you have to know that, like, in these points of, like, A to B, from getting from point A to point B, it's not a straight line. Maybe that's just the easiest way to describe it. But however, you want some of this before you get this. You see what I'm saying? You get like this chop action. You get a retrace. It helps bring what? Balance to the force. And honestly, I would tell you the best thing sometimes is what? You got to get the sentiment back in the bullish camp before you can go lower. The market's about taking the most amount of money from the most amount of people. Well, that's what it's going to do. Clear as day. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay? Please, just be thoughtful. Be thoughtful, okay? Gold. Man, so many people think it's bottomed. I'm telling you. We talked about the Apple, how you took out the range lows before it popped. I mean, with 99.9999% certainty, I am sure that gold is going to take out the range lows. If the market is a liquidity-driven mechanism, and they sold into the Ukraine news, I don't see the liquidity coming in here. Now people are going to say, oh, Dan, you don't know anything about gold. Dude, I've been trading it for most of y'all's lives. Literally. And what I'm going to tell you is gold likes to play games. It's the king of double bottoms. And it's also what? Before it goes higher, you have to wipe out sentiment. And that's what you see in all markets. So for people who are just like, oh, it's going higher right away, you've been wrong for months. And I've told people on that retest of the 2011 highs, get out. Because we were long it going into it. Get out. And I have not recommended once other than saying, watch this low, it probably bounces. Watch this low, it probably bounces. Back test the trend line, it bounces. Now what? Does it bounce? Nah, maybe. But I'm just telling you right now, the best time to buy it is what? When everybody gives up. Everybody on social media, all these social media influencers are just push gold, 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 silver, 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 silver. I'm telling you, they got to apologize and say I was wrong. No, they got to cry uncle. Again, when's the best time to buy this stuff? When the Fed pivots and announces it and the market reacts accordingly. I just don't think we're there yet. I just don't. Go look at the monthly. If you own silver for any period of time other than post-pivot, you've been in the house of pain. Please don't go to this house. Do not camp there. I'm going to run through the miners quick. GDX, don't buy this. Whatever you do, do not buy this. In the next gold run, the best move is going to be from the juniors because that's where all the potential for gold is. I mean, you can buy the GDX if you want, but I just wouldn't. Notice where the May highs are, right? Up here. 30, 29. Watch the GDXJ. It actually got to its May highs. Telling you, this is the much better buy. The market shows you what it wants. It's just whether you pay attention. AG, at some point, leave it alone. It's just going to go nowhere. We told you up here, get out. McDonald, Mr. Ronald McDonald tagged my charts with the M in the yellow and red. Just leave it alone. Newmont, please leave it alone. Okay? Just, you got to understand, leave these names alone. And if you're not leaving these names alone, what are you thinking? What is your logic here to be going strong into these names when history has shown what? Don't be early. Don't be early. And that at the lows, they're puking. PAAS, same thing. Leave it alone. The one that I actually like better than all of these at this point is AEM because you had volume. If the market is a liquidity-seeking mechanism, what do you see here? I see big volume. You made a higher low. We'll see. I got my alert set. Keep it real. Material names. Now, keep in mind, I've said this 1,000 times. Coming out of the tech market, bull market will be what? A commodities bull market. Tech will go nowhere. Commodities will lead. I like letter X. Just, it's going to be choppy. It's going to be sloppy. It's going to be painful. Just leave it alone. All of these names, please leave them alone. But they're all put on your radar because they are good. Newmont, or not Newmont, Nucor. Here you go, 142. Remember we talked about it bouncing, talked about it chopping. Leave it alone. Leave it alone. VALE, nice pop today. Is it a professional gap? We'll see. Talked about it filling the gap. A lot of the stuff, people are anticipating the dollar going lower, and so they're getting really, 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 really excited about materials. I'm telling you, this is very reminiscent of the 2000s. Materials got very choppy before they went nuts. Arrow, same thing. Gonna get choppy. Oh, it looks bullish. We'll see. CCJ, uranium, folks. If you're listening, please know your past. Let me show you your past. Here's 2008, man. Slam. Even though it was on a monster bull run. Now, everyone's going to say the fundamentals are different. Yeah, okay, whatever. It's still a market, still trade, it's still irrational. I'm telling you, fundamentals, whatever. I still think the stock gets absolutely bludgeoned. And not because there's anything fundamentally wrong, but when liquidity goes out and the tide goes out, so do your stock prices. They go down. Nothing's safe. And if it is safe, well, then guess what? It was the outlier. Someone dropped me some MP. They said keep an eye on this one. Same thing. Watch it. Get down in the sub 30 zone. Let me add an alert. Good enough for government work. Mosaic. Again, love material names. Love them. Love them, love them, love them. See you down in the 40s. I mean, again, CF really like this one. You're going to need to eat. Just telling you. Let it come back. All right. Let's get into what we've been trading most aggressively. And it's tech. If you don't know why it's tech, I don't know why you haven't been listening, maybe. I don't know. Here you go. Talked about it holding down here. It went a little lower. But then once the SMH bottomed, you could have absolutely bought this. And SMH bottomed on this day. Bear trap. Now what? So if you would have bought it around 78, you're up at 85. I still think you can get up near 90. Not a bad trade pretty quickly. And again, trying to figure out what the market's going to do. Not what we want it to do. SMH, we talked about this. Holding the levels. Oh, but Dan, it took so long. You said 220. It's never coming. Well, there you go. There it'd be. 220, 225 area. I mean, let me draw a little circle. I think we could get up into here. I think you can get there. Let's trade around it. Remember we talked about buying Soxel around what? What was it got? He got down 11.90. Bought some under 12. Bought some at 12s. My cost basis is in the mid 12s. Mid lower 12s, I guess. Probably going to go to what? If the SMH pops, 15, 16. A little higher. Great trade. 12s. The 15s, 16s. Not too shabby. Apple. Talked about the setup this week. Talked about the bear trap holding the 100-day. Zing probably going to 161, 165. Just remember, look at the past. You're going to get bounces in a down market, okay? Let it pop, then bring hammer to short it, okay? Let's just run through all the other mega techs real quick. Googs. The Guggenheim talked about it holding 106, then can get up to 1015, 1015. Now it's starting to rise. They all look the same. That's what you're going to know. Mr. Softy, we recommend this one in the 250s, and there it goes. Zzz, a bow. Probably 268, maybe even 273. Dollar's coming down. Microsoft going higher. Remember, they have a lot of dollar exposure. This one acting the best. Or better. CRM acting real great. My man Curran saw that I got stopped out right at the lows. And then it pops. And hopefully he held. He probably added when I stopped, and now he's up 12 points. Do the math. That's about 7.5%. Not too shabby. Amazon. All these names, tech names are the same. Hold the range and bouncing. How much higher? I don't know. Keep in mind, like when you look at this and you go, all right, this is the problem here. If you tried to short Tesla, because again, we talked about it, holding the lows, holding the 100-day, said it probably could get up to 290. Well, 275 or 266 to 290 was pretty good. Well, guess what? The market hasn't filled the gap. The VIX hasn't filled the gap. The market hasn't peaked. Don't short. This is what I was saying. And then people are like, oh, I'm going to short anyway. And it's like, well, there goes Tesla right up your behind. Do not short. Do not short. Do not short. Somebody was like, oh, I'm taking my profits on Netflix. I was like, the market hasn't peaked. Let it run. It got up to like 229 on Friday, and then they were like, I'm taking profits. It's like, be careful. There it goes. Now it's at 233. Same thing is like, think about it. If you're expecting certain price action, right? You really got to be thoughtful. When I say being thoughtful, like, think about it. Like, just don't be quick to short, right? That's all. Don't be too quick to short. Like, don't fight the tide. The tide is going in, the market's going up. Don't be too quick to short. That's what my whole warning for this video is. Just don't be too quick. Again, layer out, take your profits, whatever. Just wait. Remember I did things you don't see when it's bearish? Talked about roadblocks. Said probably could go from 36 up to 44, 43. Great trade. Well, look at that. Still going higher. Don't short it. Don't short it. You got to let the market play what? Direction. It has to help you give you your directional feel. Because again, if you don't pay attention to the market, all you do is just short to short and long to long, and you're not paying attention to the leaders. This is why I say it. Trading can be very difficult. Me personally, try to make it as easy as stupidly possible. Meta, another one. Don't short. Oh, I got a short. I'm like, okay, here it goes. How high? 170s. Maybe it fills this gap here. 173. MicroStrategy. Even this piece of junk. Talked about holding this. And when it pops, it pops. Don't short it. I think they did a secondary over the weekend, but if Bitcoin's going higher, maybe people think that's smart. We'll see. Don't short until what? Be careful late taking profits till what? You guys know. The VIX gets in the low 20s, you hit your upside and your targets in the market. Either one of those are the premise. Even silly NVIDIA. People are like, oh, it's done. I'm like, well, actually, it's holding an old support zone. It went, made a lower low, but look, if you would have bought it at 130s, like we talked about, you're 140. Maybe it gets up to fill the gap. Not bad. 20 points, 15 points. All great trading, counter trend trading. NDAQ, here's another example. Don't short it until the market's split. Well, Dan, you said it was a good short at 61 or 62. Yeah. Where's the market at? It's making higher highs off those lows. Coming up with the market. Probably gets back into this trend line. Let's set the alert. That's what you got to think about, right? Why would you short before the market's done going up? You're just playing with fire. And if you don't know how the market works, sorry, I don't know how to tell you other than the tide, think of the ocean. Your boat, or think of the wind. Your sailboat, without wind, you go nowhere. If the wind's at your back, that's where you go. EXPI, everybody took amazing profits on Thursday. I was like, all right, it's probably going higher. Now it's going to get choppy and sloppy. That's what it does. Probably even gets up into the 90 range. Keep in mind, this thing, when it peaks, gets choppy. Trade around it. If you're done, you want to take all your profits, I don't blame you one bit. Things you don't see in the market was bearish. Like all week, everyone's like, oh, market's bearish. Talked about the XLF, holding. And I'm not talking about like football holding. It held. Wow. Maybe it gets up to 35. I would put absolutely on your list of things to short. FAS. Ooh, it gets to 83. Dad's coming for the shorts. Coming for them shorts on that. Morgan Stanley, again, with things we said we don't see when you're bearish. You're making higher, you hold lows and you rally back. You gap down, you rally back and close at the highs. Probably gets up into the 90 range. Again, put all these names on your short list because what is going to definitely take it harder in a financial crisis? If it's a financial crisis, you literally just heard the answer. Financials. Even crappy JP Morgan with no buyback, it bounced. All things you don't see if the market's bearish. Aight. EXPI. I know there's a lot of EXPI agents who think this stock's going higher. I hope it does. I mean, this thing, if fundamentals mattered, it wouldn't be at 90. Or it would be closer to 90 than it is 13. But fundamentals, Dan. Okay, fundamentally, you don't know what you're talking about. Because fundamentals are temporary. They mean, again, the market agreeing on something is temporary. UTHR told you, double bottom, retest, get out at the monthly channel. Now it's just chopping. I don't know. I literally don't know. Let's end it with some oil because that's honestly another idea to short here shortly. Short here shortly. You got to short here shortly, sir. You're up to the 200 day. Now, if the market's rising, the dollar's coming down. Could this go higher? Let's set the alert. Probably around that, which would take, I think, oil back to probably 90. Short, sir. You will be looking to put your pants and shorts on. UNG. Talked about it. Hold in here. Talked about this being a bear trap or a bull trap. Look above and fail. 29.30. That would be my guess. Here's the gift. The XOP. Because, again, you want to short oil and gas. I get it. I want to short these names. Because these things will get flushed. Wildcat gas names, small cap, gas names. Ooh-wee. Will get absolutely obliterated. Set your alarms. I got mine for 41.47. Watch the 145 plus. ExxonMobil, remember we talked about this trade. We shorted, took a few points, and watched it hold. Things you don't see as bearish. We talked about if this thing holds, even oil and gas is popping. Market showing you what? Strength. Now going into next week, again, what is your plan? Well, you got to know. You gots to know. And we know what the plan is. Look for strength. Look to layer out. Watch for the VIX. Start taking shorts when the VIX gap closes or the market hits the peak and layer in. Please know your levels. We talked about it. And layer in. You got to layer in. I'm telling you, that layering in and layering out is exactly what the market makers do. But you don't want to do that? No, I'm telling you. I'm here to make you aware of what the market makers do. Again, stop by the Discord room. Link is in the description below. Check out the Discord. I'm telling you, check out my channel. There's tons of free content. The irony is that I give this away for free because I'm not scared of competition, but I also am trying to find people who learn this stuff and can actually work together in a small group, and then I'm shutting it down. I will just do recaps only, but I'm creating my own little institutional trading group. That's what I want. I want a bunch of people to know how this works. They win at high clips. They know how to be risk averse. Helps me help you. And if you want to be one of those people, then you got to study this stuff. I'm telling you, I will teach endlessly to people who have thirst for knowledge. I do not teach to people who expect nothing or something for free. All right, hopefully you're making money. I mean, take money out of the market. Oh my God, pay yourself and then start putting away some money for that real estate. I'm telling you, we got to work together. We got to work together to get you 10 properties in 10 years. That's the goal. That's my goal. I'm going to show you how I do it as I go along the way. Game an agent again because, again, I love real estate. I love helping people with this stuff. I've been involved in real estate for off and on for 20 years. It's the safest way to get rich. It's how the wealthy manage their biggest wealth in general. Now, not everyone's Warren Buffett. Most of the richest people in the world own real estate, property, and land, whatever. I'm telling you, you're trying to get there. You want to get paid to own an asset and it also appreciate. We're not buying bonds. That could appreciate, I guess, technically if the prices change. But what are we looking for, right? Hedges for inflation. Real estate. When the people aren't buying, the rents go up. And when the rents go up, people start buying if the rates are affordable. Either way, house prices always go higher. That's the one thing that will go higher. Hopefully you know that. You understand that. Like, we talk about stocks individually having shelf lives. People will always need a place to live. I appreciate you guys. Love everybody. Please be safe. Talk to you guys and gals later. Peace.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, stop by the Discord room. A link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to help support more free content, the PayPal link is in the description as well. I appreciate your continued support of the channel.